の心と物質
I'm fucking blinding yourself, bro.
Jesus. You know, you guys are going to see that for the video, but
Oh yeah, man.
I'm channeling my inner John Lennon right now.
Those shits are dented as fuck, no? Those shits are
totally
mad broken, bro. What the
These
fuck?
shits are fucked up as hell. Like, you know, this is after having a crazy night of drinking. You know, if you catch last episode, as you should know,
Hell
drinking, not good for you guys.
Not good for you. Cancer.
Who would have thunk it?
Yeah.
Who, you know, apparently not a lot of people.
1 in 3 Americans knew. So that means 2 out of 3 didn't.
But you know, we're gonna do our best, regardless that my glasses are all busted and fucked up. But,
that may be fucked up, but this episode won't be. You know.
You know, like my glasses might be having me looking like. But I promise you guys.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Nice.
But what do we do on this show, Frankie?
Yo, today we're talking about what's happening on the Earth.
Inner Minds.
And why it matters. This is Earth, Mind, and Matter. I'm Frankie.
I'm Javi.
And today we're talking about comics. We're gonna talk about a comic book.
Hell yeah.
Usually we talk about the news as well, but today we're talking about a comic book. We also talk about movies and albums, and we do that in a cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go bi-weekly news to the album, news to the movie, news to the comic. Then we re-up the cycle. And we changed, you know, our host position. So today I'm hosting the comic thing. Sounds confusing. Just listen, and it's not. You know, it really isn't. And I guess
at the end of the day, we're just talking about comics.
That's what I'm saying.
On this episode,
today we're talking about a comic book and a comic character. Mm-hmm. You know, this is the comic.
Yep, this is it. All right.
No, we're talking about Peacemaker, right? Which has gained a lot of popularity lately.
Oh yeah.
And I'm pretty hyped because I'm tired as fuck, I'm not gonna lie to you. But I do think that this character in itself, even as I was doing the research for it, also like wakes you up, you know, because it's exciting and fucking I mean the first he wasn't in the first Suicide Squad movie, right?
No, he wasn't.
So the second Suicide Squad movie was awesome.
Yeah.
Right? Like that shit was real fucking good. The first one, not a lot of people were big fans of it. I remember when I went to go watch it with Brian in theaters, like we were like, yo, this is kind of cool. And then everybody was like, this shit is ass. We were like, damn, bro. Keep that shit to yourself. We had fun. Went to the theaters like, woo!
How drunk were you guys?
Nah, man, I don't know.
What does that have to do with anything? Come on, Javi. Fuck.
We don't drink. Cancer, remember?
Come on. 1 in 3.
I remember I ate a burnt like croissant, right? And like somebody was like, don't eat that, you might get cancer. And I feel like if I ever get cancer, like knock on wood, right? Like I'm gonna just think about that one croissant, like fuck.
That was the croissant that fucked you.
You know what I mean? Not all the bad choices or bad things to put on my body, but just that bad croissant, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then you just tell yourself, like, if I just didn't eat that one fucking croissant. And that's so fucking whack. For that to be the origin of your cancer. Like Chernobyl motherfuckers had some real intense, like, nuclear shit. Like, people who smoke look cool doing it. We had a fucking croissant. A black croissant. And that shit fucked me up, bro. I gotta lose my hair because of it.
I still don't like the way you say black.
Black, that's crazy. I've been told.
No, I'm fucking with you.
Black.
That shit is just, you know, I'm gonna try it right now. Nope, can't do it.
What is it?
Generative.
One time I said black, and then Beatrice was like, "Why'd you say black like that?" I was like, "What do you mean? Why I said black like that?" And I was like, now when I'm like saying black, I'm like.
You know, and it's funny because before we jump into the comic real quick, I'll say that I recently saw the new Planet of the Apes movie in theaters.
What the fuck, bro?
No, because this is gonna relate to what you just said.
Black?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just listen, motherfucker. So, we had seen the movie.
Get out the frame. Just creep out.
We had seen the movie. Hey, listen, I'm John Lennon. All right. Peace.
Known racist. No, I'm just kidding. He wasn't.
But anyways, we had seen the movie with Lucas's friend who is white. And later when we were leaving the theater, his friend was trying to make a joke about Lucas, like almost trying to say like something about like Lucas being like an ape. But he caught himself like as he was like trying to do it. Yeah. And like I was also like and he caught himself and he was like, yeah, nah, I'm just gonna not. And like
it's tough.
And I was like, yeah, I told him, I was like, listen, man, as a white dude, you got to be careful with those type of jokes. Like when you say in public.
It's funny how that is a real real like what's it called like walking on eggshells thing, because if I feel like if you saw a black person like doing monkey things, you know, like ooh ah, like making those noises and swinging from trees and vines and eating a banana and like doing everything a monkey would do, and you're like, oh, that guy's acting like a monkey, everybody would be like you'd be like, what the fuck you mean? Like, and you just are like you know, you're like, what the they're like, how disgusting. You're like, what?
All I gotta say is keep your damn dirty stinking paws off of me, you dirty ape.
And I think even with kids, you know what I mean? Like I imagine the scenario has risen so many times, but like it's like a Hispanic parents and the white parents and black parents. And then, you know, their kids are all playing, and the white parents like, look at these kids, right? And then it's mostly the black kids, and they're like, look at these little monkeys. And they're like,
yeah, totally.
Yeah, they move. It's like no, they're like monkeys. The kids are going.
Straight up monkeys just come in too.
I wonder when you see a black kid on the monkey bars, like you just gotta be like, oh, he's in the bars.
you just gotta look away.
He just in the bars.
Like it's not happening. Just you know.
Watch monkey bars be racist somehow.
So monkey bars are gonna get canceled.
Yeah, man.
They're gonna get fucking canceled. You know who also tries to get canceled? Peacemaker.
Peacemaker does try to get canceled. Fucking okay, let's go back to Peacemaker. Talking about fucking black people. What's it called? Yeah, so we're talking about Peacemaker Tries Hard, right? This is a crazy good comic, and it's written by Kyle Starks. The artist is Steve Pugh. The colors is by Jody Belair, and the lettering is by Becca Carey. There was also another name on there. I didn't put it in because he's in charge of something else, but I don't know if you want to read it off. It's like he's like the cover of the what's it?
The cover artist?
The cover artist and everything. What's his name? I don't fucked up and then put it here.
I don't know.
No, it's past the first 3 pages. It's right there. But you should show the camera the art.
I should. I mean, I'll throw it up on the widescreen as well in post. Let's see. Chris Anka. I wasn't confident in it. But Chris Anka is the cover artist to the series.
And are you familiar with any of these people?
I'm familiar with Kyle Starks and Chris Anka.
Okay, cool.
Because Kyle Starks, I know that he's done more comedic stuff before. I can't remember what like other stuff he's worked on in the past, but I know he's done more comedic stuff. I think he kind of came from a film background, if I remember correctly.
He writes from Rick and Morty comic book.
Okay, cool.
He's written for a Rick and Morty comic book, I think, for a long time. I think he's the longest tenured writer for Rick and Morty comic book. He's got nominated 3 times for an Eisner, and he's from Southern Indiana. The books he was nominated for was Sex Castle, Rock Candy Mountain, and I Hate This Place for best humor publication. I don't know if he's won anything, but man, this guy's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, he's so funny.
It's fucking insane how funny this book is, and that's why covering this book comic, what's it called? Like, I think bringing up the show is so crucial, you know, and the character John Cena plays is because that's what he tried to embody a lot. Mostly, even in most of his interviews, he says like, if this character reminds you of who you saw on the show and in the movie, like that's exactly what I was trying to do, because John Cena did so well capturing that character. He's like, why would I derive from it, or not derive, no, stray from that, whatever.
Derive also
but what's it called? So I think when I was reading this, man, I just like genuinely was like laughing, you know, and it's so cool when a comic makes you do that, because there are some things that when you read anything, you know, you kind of like laugh, you're like, or like whatever, but like, it was just back to back, like kind of mimicking exactly who John Cena plays. And I have a couple of things here because it's pretty fucking funny. Real quick, on KyleStarks.com, KyleStarks, you can buy all his books that he'll sign for you.
Nice.
You can join a $5 a month sticker club. Cool artwork, watercolor commission, and but the comic books being signed is pretty dope, because some of them are cheap, like $20, and so and he runs it all himself. So while also being a writer, he does all these things by himself. So that's crazy. And
I'm also familiar with Chris Anka, the cover artist, because they would do the arts for a while on the Runaways when I was reading that at Marvel, and so like their art is just incredible.
Man.
So the covers to this are just so fucking sweet. They're so great. And but overall, like, what's the artist's name? Because this is
Steve Pugh.
Steve Pugh. This is the first time I've seen his art.
Oh fuck! Because I didn't do any research on Steve Pugh because I was like, oh, how is gonna know who Steve Pugh is? Man. Fuck, bro. Because I feel Kyle Starks. I was like, oh, Rick and Morty, something like that. So I was like, oh no, Steve Pugh will be fine. And I think this is one thing that I'm still learning how to really get better at is that while I'm reading a comic book, I need to keep reminding myself to look at the art also, because you're conditioned so much when you're reading, like, just a book, like, to just read what's there and then you continue. But when you read a comic book, like, it's so crucial to really pick up on all the visuals. And I did read it halfway through with the book, and I finished reading it on my phone. And reading on a phone, and especially a small phone, sucks because then all that detail kind of gets minimized and you're distracted from it. So
you need an iPad, dog.
Yeah, I know, bro. Fucking that ass. And then, but no, even then, like, even just now picking up the book and looking through the pages, it's just so much nicer to have the actual book in your hand. And I mean, and I got to pay more attention to your art. So it's not to say the art didn't do well in its own, but the writing is so strong in this, in my opinion, like, so I think, and being such a simple story with like a character like Peacemaker who's not like so intensely, serious like Batman or something like that, it's fucked up. Like it keeps that R-ratedness.
Oh, like this is very much like a R-rated, M-rated book. Like to Steve Pugh's credit, like the art that he does in it is really incredible. I think where it mix of Jordi Belair's colors. It has such a nice like muted flat tone to it. Yeah. Which works really well in the sense of that Peacemaker is very low key in terms of the grander like DC scope. So it's like having something that like feels a little more to the ground, like boots on the ground type of story. Yeah, I feel like that shows off in the colors and the art for sure. For sure. And
he's done the Flintstones. Nice. There's a bunch of his work is basically the Flintstones and Billionaire Island, Cult of Dogs. He's done a bunch of other Peacemakers. Oh no, he's done Age of Ultron versus Marvel, Hellgate London. Okay. He's done Superman. He's done Paradise X, Counter X. I'm just reading Wonder Woman, Hellblazer. He's been on for a while. He's a British artist. Animal Man. So Steve Pugh has obviously Steve Pugh is a British comic book artist who has worked for American and British comic producers including DC, Marvel, Dark Horse in 2000 AD. He broke into the industry early 1990s working on Hellblazer at DC's Vertigo Studio. He is known for doing both pencil art and inking on issues. He's 58 years old. Nice. That's a straight Wikipedia read. That's straight
it's
up.
All wrong.
That's straight up. We didn't fucking research that. So
come on, Frankie. Yeah. But I think the art is so dynamic where it's like everything feels very fluid and like flows very well throughout the panels. Like I know I talk about it a lot in other episodes. It's probably been a while since I've explained it, so I'm going to explain it again to any new listeners. But like panel composition is a very important thing in comics and stuff.
What is panel composition?
So like when you think of composition, you think of like how something is laid out. Okay. And so when you have panel composition, you think of how all the panels are laid out on a page. And
how they're composed, if you will.
Yes, exactly. And so when you have really good panel composition, it can really take your story a long way, because if you're just not to say that there's one right way of doing it, because everyone has their own style. Yeah. But there is an effective way of like doing panel composition that also goes tandem with the art that you include within each panel. Yeah. Like I'm thinking of the page, I forget which issue, if it was in the first or second one, when he's kind of like sitting to himself in the dark. Yeah. Not even in the dark, but like everything just turns black around him, and he's just kind of sitting there all sad and shit. And like talking about how like, damn, like no one fucking likes me. Yeah. And it's the way that those panels are set up, the way it like starts off pretty zoomed out, gets in closer and
creeps
closer.
In.
It's like you would imagine that in a film. Like you would imagine that in a moment like that in a movie, the camera just zooms in slowly and slowly as the character is having their monologue.
So it's like natural, like you would want, like that's something you would expect, and how it's not cinematically, but how artistically it usually goes when it comes to those. That's pretty dope. Yeah, I thought it was more so like, if you have a scene, or a panel where it's like really dark or getting darker, you don't want to have a scene, the next page be all brightness. So then you're like, oh, it's taken away from the darkness because the next page is so brightly colored.
Right.
You know, you want to kind of smoothly transition out of it. Is that kind of like that as well, or not really?
It can be. Because definitely that comes down more to like the colors of everything and who the colorist is. And it really comes down to creating a tone with your colors. Like you obviously don't want to just use whatever colors for say a 6-issue series like this. You want to maintain what like artists will say a palette. Like you want to have like the same color palette for like one run or one series or whatever the case is.
That's like when they do those movie palettes, right? Where you watch a movie and they have like, let's say you watch Titanic, like these are the colors that mainly coincide with the movie, and it's just like a bunch of little squares, and it's just like, oh yeah, like this is what the movie looks like, and it's just a bunch of colors because that's their main theme of color. Right. What's it called? I was talking with a friend yesterday, shout out Gia, where he said he took a color theory class. Yeah. And you were studying up on color theory, you know?
Still am.
Yeah, right. What have you learned so far about that in terms of like, a lot, a little? Dude. Really? So much. What are some like things that like, if you're not really into like colors like that, like, you know, what's some things that you found shocking that, you know, would sound like translatable to people who are just listening?
Because I think for myself, something that just amazes me is like it's the science of colors, and like when you look at that on paper, you're kind of like,
and even hearing it, I'm like, man, what the fuck you mean, bro? You're like, come on, it's a fucking color, and but there's so much range, right?
And when you really get into it, there really is a science behind how we perceive colors and like why people are colorblind and things like that, and
shout out Chino.
Yeah, shout out to you, man. Loser.
Colors.
But, you know, fucking, I don't know if I said it on the podcast real quick, but Chino for a long time thought that Starfire from the Teen Titans was green. And it wasn't until he was reading a Starfire comic and someone said that she was orange.
He was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, he was like, wait, Javi, is Starfire orange? I'm like, no way, dude. But something that I learned that's really wild for me with color theory that still blows my mind is that this works with how we perceive light, where technically nothing really has color. Yeah. It's more so
the how we perceive it, right?
How we perceive it and how the light is being reflected off of whatever subject or surface or whatever the case is, and how that light is bouncing off of that object or surface and reflecting back into our eyes,
because we have a little prism in our shits too, right? And I've always heard in the past, I don't know where, but like we see bananas as yellow, right? But I think there could be other species that see bananas as purple. What's in that? So like the true color of something, like is there ever really a true color to something, or it's just how you perceive it, right?
So it's all very conceptual.
There's no neutral color, like you know, that to everything, because all beings, the color doesn't even exist, right? In some sense, right?
Exactly. It's just like colors aren't really real. It's just sort of like a trick of the light almost.
Like if a certain animal walks in here, everything else could look completely different.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, you know, I learned that dogs aren't necessarily colorblind, or like, you know, it's not like they see in black and white or gray or whatever. It's more so that colors are very muted for them. So they can still see color, but it's very muted.
The term see color is triggering. You see a dog walk in here, like, I don't see color. You're like, wait,
like, yo, what the link right now is just like, yo, man, all I see is bullshit.
That's mad funny, because then when you see like that cliche dog barking at a black guy or something like that, and then you're like, whoa. It's so funny when a dog barks at like a black person, you know, and then you get mad at the owner. You know, you're like, what did you teach him?
What did you teach?
And you like rescued that dog like a year ago. You're like, bro, I don't fucking know this piece of shit. It was fucking...
You know, like when you first rescued the dog, he just had a fucking swastika on his arm. You're like, oh, I don't know what that's about.
Fucking Jesus Christ, man, that's mad funny. But yeah, okay, that's fucking interesting as shit, because you know, like when yesterday we were teasing him because he had a green shirt on that like we all thought was tan. Like we asked every person behind the bar, they're like, what do you think his shirt looks like? And everybody did this immediately. They were like, they all like kind of closed up, and they were like beige, tan. He was like, guys, it's green. The shirt is green. And then they posted on Instagram, and it's like blue. Everybody voted blue and stuff like that.
But that's also dependent on like the camera technology,
how it takes it in, right?
Exactly.
It did look blue as fuck in the picture.
Yeah, and you know, even with the shirt that you're wearing now, that's the first shirt that you wore for the first episode back.
Oh yeah, shout out this. I love the shirt.
And we were using the iPad for your angle, and it didn't have the right colors. It just couldn't get your green shirt correctly.
It just looks like my shirt's off.
It's just fucking naked. But I mean, you know, we do it anyways.
That's what I'm saying anyway.
I had to color grade that when I had remastered it and stuff. It's a color graded so that it actually is that color green. And that's something that I did after learning more color theory, because I was able to better understand, okay, if I mix these colors in Premiere and stuff, I can be able to overlay this and this and that, whatever. So
I think it's crazy that mostly in fashion, I think so. How clothes accentuate, right? Other clothes, you know, and I know it sounds simple. I know we're just talking about colors right now, but it really does make it pop. Like you can have, that's why I think detail is so crucial. Like you can have those glasses on right now, but say they were all black. Everything was black about it. But then they had these little like purple diamonds like right here, right? Yeah. And then you're wearing a purple, not a purple, like a black shirt with like a purple line here. And then you're like, you know, and it's crazy how those things make it pop. Yeah, you know, or like people's eye color when they're wearing blue in a certain shirt. Like it's so interesting. And I think really at the core of it is like when you think about animals and how like they're mostly intrigued with other animals because of the colors they have on them and stuff like that, or like the tree frogs we see later in Peacemaker, how like those are poisonous, you know, and why is that so alerting? Like how did nature evolve to a point where like it almost alerts us when something's poisonous? It could also be the chemicals in the poison cause them to be much more bright, you know, but even then, and how like humans are so infatuated with that shit, because like a leopard or whatever, a cheetah, like we're gonna fucking kill that shit, wear a coat. Like it's so fucking weird, man.
It is.
Yeah. So
I mean, imagine wearing a link as like a scarf or something.
Socks. That's fucked up to kill an animal to wear as socks.
It's like the worst piece of clothing to turn them into.
Like a jockstrap.
Oh no.
So fucking cheetah jockstrap.
I'm like, don't worry, Link, you're always with me.
But yeah, that's our beehole. We haven't had a beehole in a while.
I mean, boy, we haven't met every episode. We just haven't said beehole in a while.
Honestly, we haven't said beehole in a while. Well, do you know a little bit of history of Peacemaker?
Now, I really don't know a lot of history about Peacemaker. I will say that I know that for James Gunn, this is something that I learned when I did interview for Marvel that one time. Where I learned this online, but then I also found out once I interviewed with them for a little bit that James Gunn, when he was doing Guardians for the first time at Marvel, because if you look at the original Guardians lineup in the comics, it's extremely different from what the movies are. Okay. And James Gunn did that because the people you see in the movies now have been part of the Guardians at different points in time of that comic history. Yeah. But James Gunn wanted to pick the really like C-list characters out of those like out of the history there, because there's something about like C-list characters that really like jumps out to James Gunn.
I heard him say something like that, where he likes to get characters that he doesn't people don't really like, and kind of get that value out of them and stuff like that. Something like that.
And so I had found out that he did that for Guardians, like just online. And then when I interviewed with them for Marvel, I had found out that Marvel they have a whole department where they essentially like remaster old comics for purposes of that nature. Wow. And that James Gunn did it for Suicide Squad as well. And that's how he was able to get Peacemaker in for Suicide Squad, because he was like, yo, who the fuck is Peacemaker? This guy's kind of a loser. Nice.
That's dope as fuck. Well, let me tell you then, because it's pretty cool and it's kind of quick, but I found this like, I had a feeling you wouldn't know the history of Peacemaker because he's such a, not a new character, but such a rejuvenated character, and pretty modern now, you know? And it's actually pretty incredible, because I remember when the show Peacemaker came out, I don't think I had seen Suicide Squad 2 yet, but I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, who the fuck is Peacemaker? Is everybody getting a show now, you know? And the fact that it was John Cena, I was like, but I think the second I fell in love with John Cena was a scene where I think he's creeping up to the 10 and he starts killing everybody in Suicide Squad 2. And I don't know what it was, but he's so fucking funny, man. Yeah, man. Like he so plays it like that. He was born. I mean, obviously he's one of the greatest like WWE wrestlers and this and that. But like he's had serious roles in the past. But this is like such a crazy good role. And I think I'll get to it a little more later. But I'll say this. I think, Peacemaker show has a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes and an 8.3 out of 10 on IMDb. IMDb. And even when I watched it full through. I told Beatrice to watch it. She's like, nah, I'm not going to fucking watch that shit. And then she finishes the whole thing and she's like, bro, I'm like, what? She's like, you didn't fucking tell me there's no season 2. And I was like, my bad, paranoid. She was like, you told me I gotta fucking wait for season 2. She was ready to binge like 6 seasons, you know?
That's awesome.
So it's crazy how, like, you know, you don't have to be a fan of superhero movies to be attached to this, right?
Right.
So
I'll say to that regard real quick that's actually something that James Gunn really excels at.
Yeah.
In making superhero films, and that's something he's very conscious of when he makes these films. Where he's gone on the record of saying that for him, when he thinks that when people talk about superhero fatigue, this and that, whatever, he thinks that superheroes films are never gonna die, but that they can become very few and far in between, kind of like how Westerns have become. Because when Westerns first came out, there was a huge saturation of those type of movies when they first came out. And now they're very few and far in between. And he can see that happening to superhero movies. But the way to prevent that is by interjecting different genres within to the superhero films.
That's awesome. And just like a branch out to like some really fucking, I don't know if niche is the right word, but like some random fucking guy.
For James Gunn, niche is definitely
that's what it is, right?
Yeah, because like you look at a character like Peacemaker and you look at the show, and it's very much like a superhero thing, but it's also like a drama.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like
so
heart
intense.
Yeah, and
definitely.
So it's stuff like that where it's just you wouldn't expect that, like watching like Avengers 5, Kang Dynasty,
and then
Jonathan Majors.
You wouldn't expect it, and then when you see it being executed, you're like kind of iffy on it, but then you really fall into the whole drama of it, and you're like, bro, like I have no choice but to love this, you know? And I think that and The Boys really does an amazing job capturing an audience that, like, you know, has no idea what the fuck this is about.
Yeah.
The Boys has been a comic beforehand.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That show is so good.
It is.
I wish I watched it more focusedly, but I think when I watched it, we were just all getting fucked up in Philadelphia.
Right.
But it's fucking awesome. So what's it called? So Peacemaker, right? Christopher Smith, that's his name, right? His first appearance was in 1966, featured in Carlton Comics Fighting 5, number 40. Carlton Comics does not exist no more on that shit, right? Or Fighters, one of them, but you know, fighting, right? The Fighting 5. So Peacemaker, Christopher Smith would attend the Geneva Arms Conference as a diplomat that aimed to discuss and encourage world peace. He had a shit ton of weapons, but he never really wanted to use them at all, right? But then some shit happened that went against his morals and made him think, and he said he's gonna vow to physically fight for peace without using lethal force, kind of like Batman, right? What's it called? Even when he'd use his laser helmet in public, he would apologize to the people, and he would be like, "I hate violence so much, like I'm so sorry," you know. But then he reappeared in 2 issues of Fighting 5, and then he got his own 5-issue solo run. Eventually being picked up by DC Comics when they got the rights to his character, right? What's it called? Then DC kind of changed up his history. And that was during his post-crisis run, where his father was a Nazi death camp commandant. His dad committed suicide in front of Peacemaker when he was 5 years old, and he moved to the U.S. Because he was so traumatized from that suicide. He saw dead visions of his father wearing like an SS uniform. And because his father wanted him to be a soldier, he did become one, but he was so mentally fucked, right? So they had to use him in this anti-terrorism unit only. And the anti-terrorism unit was called Project Peacemaker, you know? Wow. What's it called? During his run as a soldier, though, he accidentally massacred a village of innocent civilians. You know, that's fucking wild, bro. Yeah. And then, so he got 20 years in prison. That's when it led to the anti-terrorism thing, right?
It's amazing how much of the show actually gets that.
Yeah. Like they asked him about that, like when did you decide to pick up certain things and this and that? Because there's a lot of that, but I think in the show his father's still alive, you know, and then this one his father's dead at 5, but it still has that Nazi thing, you know. Basically, for me, it's pretty crazy how much of the mental health aspect was for Peacemaker, given that this was in the 60s, you know, and then throughout the 60s to the 2000s. And I know comic books tend to do that regardless, like capture like this outcasted person in society and then bring them back, you know, with, you know, the will to want to help and
super powers,
super brain. What's it called? While he was fighting, he would he believed every soul of the persons he's killed, people he's killed, would live inside his helmet. And so throughout the issues, he would be arguing with the people in his helmet while he's like massacring motherfuckers. You know what I mean? So I wonder visually how it looks like, and was it as violent as it shows it in the show? Because in the show, it's fucking crazy.
That almost sounds like a more Daniel Way old school Deadpool stuff, where Deadpool had two voices in his head.
Okay,
and it's like
a devil angel type shit.
Yeah, like where one of them was like a really sophisticated like smart ass, and the other one was just like Deadpool just being a dumbass. So it was like, instead of a devil and angel, it was stupid and
stupider. Okay.
But so and a lot of the times they would argue with each other in his head while he's like, killing a bunch of motherfuckers and shit like that. So I can almost visualize that for old school Peacemaker. And it is a good point to make about how that was being talked about during the 60s in this comic, at least. But that wasn't not a hot topic. So
not at all.
I would imagine that's maybe why it didn't do well.
Yeah. Like, and it's probably like, yo, who's this depressed motherfucker? Yeah. And it's
people
so funny.
Probably like, yo, this is fucking weird.
and even his costume is lame, almost kind of lame. You know what I mean? Like when you see John Cena's outfit, you're like, the fuck is he wearing? What the fuck is this, bro? And it just, I think the stars aligned and it really fucking bloomed. So like, you're like, I don't know, randomly, but accordingly to the nature around it. What's it called? And even funny enough, last episode we spoke about James Gunn's tweets, right? And how like insane they were. They were fucking terrible, bro. They were like, what's it called? That's what was one of them. He was like, they say, laughter is the best medicine. That's why when I see a person with AIDS, I just laugh at them or something like that. Right, I don't know. Yeah. But it makes sense that Peacemaker is a show that he is like putting on. Yeah. Were those tweets before Peacemaker or after?
Before.
So
before.
So that's interesting how they kind of, I don't know if they mentioned it to him when they were like, yo, don't, no more tweets, but they kind of saw that and they were like, fuck it. We kind of need that anyway. Let's just do it in good taste,
Well, because DC hired him after those tweets surfaced.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like they didn't mind that existed. Right. They were like, hey, fuck it. Like if you're gonna be like that, let's do that correctly, which is the correct way to do that. Because again, like every joke, the intention of it is to make people laugh. But then you can really fuck up a joke. But if you're offended, like the grace of it is that it's intended to make you laugh. That's Patrice O'Neal, right? But now you're gonna do it right, and he did it right with Peacemaker, because I think every motherfucker is hilarious on that show. Even the guy who became the fly, whatever it's called, he's even funny because he looks so fucking weird. Right? He's like, I've never seen you smile, or like whatever. And then the guy with the glasses, the beard, they could call kind of like Jelly Roll or some shit like that. Or like,
and he's like, you dye your hair, don't you? I don't dye my beard.
It's like everything. What's up, dyed beard or some shit like that. Everything was written so funny, and even with this comic book, like you don't miss a step. Like it's the same comedy, and it really makes you laugh out loud. Tone,
it's the same vibe.
It's like you're reading the show, and it's like when you watch a show, it's like you're watching the comic. My bad, just Peacemaker. And
I was gonna say, like even. Like for me, from the get go, like some of the humor and stuff, like when he's at the supermarket and no one knows who he is, stuff like that, or like his first action sequence after they take Bruce and he's going through what is it, the plant or whatever, and he fucking like kills the dude and finds out that like. He's just like another like employee.
He's a worker.
Yeah, but then he finds out on top of that like he's like a sex offender. So he's just like, you know what?
It's all right. He does look like a Gavin.
This shit was
I could have sworn I had that page right here, but I'll read a couple things off of it because I think it's fucking hilarious. Like one of them was him talking to the Red Bee, right?
Yeah,
right? And he's like saying, Peacemaker, Red Bee. So Peacemaker says, whatever, you weirdo fuck. And then Red Bee is like, you're gonna need eggs for this, right? Talking about instant cake mix. He says, you're gonna need eggs for this, right? Fuck. He said, I seen your fridge. All you have is a half empty jar of pickles and a bottle of mustard. Peacemaker says, dude, it's instant cake. You just mix, you just add water. Red Bee is like, sorry, bud. You need eggs and oil and something to grease a pan. You have a pan, right? And Peacemaker's like, are you kidding me? That's not instant at all. He's like, fuck, I have to go back to the store, you know? And it reads so much better, you know, obviously like saying and stuff. Yeah, it's just, but that little humor back and forth, you know, is good.
I feel like, you know, it's especially for someone like myself who kind of got into comics because of the movies.
Yeah.
When I was reading this, I could just envision John Cena's voice reading it.
It's like you have to, because John Cena became the character. Yeah, man.
And I do that with certain characters, like for other comics, like like, you know, if I ever read Iron Man, I just hear RDJ. Yeah. Like that's all I hear in my head, and it goes back to what you said. Like John Cena really just fucking. He nailed this character. And
he's so stone cold face doing most of the things. He must be a fucking great actor, man. I mean, I'm not saying he must be. Obviously he is. But it's crazy. I know. I'm sure you know this, but if you don't, that'd be crazy. It's shocking things. James Gunn wrote these 8 episodes in 2 months. So
I didn't know that. So I know he wrote it.
Yeah.
Wrote it. I know he wrote it. Generative. But I know he wrote all the episodes, and he directed a big bulk of the episodes actually, but I didn't know he did it in only 2 months. That's crazy.
He tasked himself with 1 episode per week, and isn't that crazy, bro?
Jesus.
Yeah, I think he had written the first one off the rip and everything, and then
you know, for people who don't know, for screenwriting, like in TV and film, 1 page is a minute essentially.
That's fucking crazy, and it's hour-long episodes. Yeah. You know what I mean? What's it called? He said when it came to working with John Cena, he's like, quote, "I love John Cena. I just really love the guy. I love working with people who are incredibly talented, and quote, I love finding the humanity and kind of shitty actors." So that's what go back to what you mentioned, you know, like he enjoys this role, like the bad character or ass character, and just bringing it out of them, you know?
Right.
What's it called? When it came down to the Nazi thing, he said he wondered how the Nazis of today would look like, and that's why he went that route with the white supremacists and this and that. Right. And even the father's costume is crazy, bro.
Oh yeah, man.
That shit is so ridiculous. It's so wild. And then apparently once he found out he needed the father for John Cena, like he already knew a guy, and he was like, "Oh yeah, that's gonna be John Cena's father, Mason Perry or some shit like that."
Mason Perry.
Yeah, that's so funny to think that like you need some asshole piece of shit, and you're like, "Oh yeah, no, I know." Yeah, like imagine
this guy.
I know this guy.
Oh yeah, Link.
That's exactly who.
I really enjoyed the other characters that they introduced in the comic as well. That interweave it throughout the rest of the DC universe. Yeah. But you don't even really need to be like a big DC fan to read this.
Not at all.
Like, you know, if you've seen Suicide Squad, if you've seen the Peacemaker show, you're fine with just that. I think even without those, you'd be fine. Because I only say like maybe it'd be nice to watch either of those just to get some context.
And Suicide Squad 2 is a good ass fucking movie anyway. It's such a good movie. It's just fucking good. Suicide Squad 1, alright. It's alright.
It's ass. But yeah, and I really enjoy the other characters that come along the way throughout this comic and stuff, like the fact that Brainiac is the villain and shit like that. Like I didn't expect that.
And what's his name? The assassin afterwards. What the fuck is his name? How can we not get his name? He's like a major assassin character, right?
Deathstroke.
There we go. Fucking
because I was thinking about Deadpool, and I was like, Deathstroke.
Fucking Team Deathstroke is mad funny, bro. Fucking, he's like, you're not even my dad. All I want to do is dance and play.
But I don't know if you knew this. Like, I feel like you might know this, but Deadpool is like a clear ripoff of Deathstroke.
I didn't know that. But that makes so much sense. Fuck.
even down to their names, because Slade Wilson in for DC for Deathstroke. And then in Marvel, Deadpool is Wade Wilson.
That's hilarious. I thought Slade Wilson was Deadpool. That's hilarious.
Yeah, so Deadpool is a complete ripoff of Deathstroke purposely.
That's so cool.
So
I wonder, you think that was controversial when that happened? You think they got mad?
I think so.
That's so crazy. So. That suing stuff is so wild. But I think the cool thing, I mean, the more justifiable thing about suing is that like, you know what Ghostbusters recovered, and they didn't want to put what's his name? What was his name again?
Slimer.
Why do I keep saying slimy?
Slimy.
Like you never know how popular it's gonna get, and that's just missed out money for your own character that you had. Right. You know, so if you made a character and then Dunkin' Donuts is like, "Hey, bro, let's use that," and then it becomes a next Jake from State Farm or some shit. You know what I mean? And you're like, "Fuck," you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's why I've talked about for myself. That like as I get more and more into the indie comic space, making my own comics, the less inclined I am to like work with Marvel or DC down the line, truthfully. No disrespect to either company. You know, if the opportunity were to ever come to do like Spider-Man or Batman, I would fucking do that.
That's so cool.
But it's just more so when it comes to like creating other stuff, I really just want to make my own stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's not to say you can't do that in Marvel or DC, but when you make your own characters at Marvel or DC, they're not your characters.
Yeah, they're Marvel's characters,
they're Marvel
right?
or DC's characters.
That's interesting.
So, and, you know, either company treats that aspect pretty differently, but definitely artists still have gripes with it.
Yeah.
Like Greg Capullo, the artist of Batman Court of Owls, he has definitely gone on the record a lot of the times of being like, it kind of sucks that like, you know, a lot of the stuff that I created for DC, like he created this character called the Batman Who Laughs, which is essentially like if Batman was affected by the Joker. And dope. They made a costume for it and everything, but he doesn't get royalties for it.
That's some bullshit, man. Because he created it, but I think they would argue like, well, you're just using our base and making an iteration of it. Like you're just using what we own.
I wouldn't know what the fine print would be, but it's just basically like, well, you made this for us. Like this is ours. So
the way, I mean, what if it's like music, right? Like if I write a song, right, and then you remix it. Right? Is that your song now, or is it always my song? Because it's a remix. A remix is my song, right?
Yeah.
But then
I think you would still need credit for that because that's where like sampling gets involved.
Yeah. That's a fucking mess. That's like Jesus Christ.
Just that's definitely like a huge thing, and so that's why as I get more into the indie space, I'm like I want to just make my own shit. So that way it's like I own this stuff. These are my characters.
And even if you were to get hit with like a plagiarizing thing, like all right, well you'd be like, okay, how can I tweak it to just make it my own? You know, this and that. Whereas in Marvel, I mean, if you were for Marvel, you probably win if anybody else sue you. You know, because they got so much fucking money, bro. Jesus Christ. God damn.
Whoa.
What's it called? This is just a side note, but James Gunn is set to produce a riff on the classic Looney Tunes titled Coyote vs. Acme, which will star John Cena. That's interesting.
That got shelved.
Really?
It got shelved.
What the fuck?
Yeah, dog.
Why? God damn it.
Because fucking Warner Bros. Be Warner Broing. And they're just like, we're just not going to release
this. You're not going to do this, right?
They basically pulled a Batgirl and just said, it's not coming out.
Damn. Sorry, when was it supposed to come out?
I don't remember when it was supposed to come out.
God damn it, bro.
It's like, it's done and everything. Like, it's a finished product.
But they can't put it out?
Nah, not going to do it.
Who made Batgirl again that they didn't allow to put out? Like, who directed it and everything?
I forget the director, but it was going to have Michael Keaton as Batman in it.
You think, what's it called? If they just said, fuck, I mean, that's where I think leaks are necessary, bro. Just leak that shit. Just like, I accidentally leaked that shit and just let us have that, you know?
I mean, that's what happened to Deadpool.
Really?
Yeah, because...
what the fuck, really?
Yeah, you don't remember the Deadpool leaked test footage from like years and years ago where it's the highway scene essentially from the first movie?
I do not remember that.
Really? Oh my God,
I don't remember that at all.
Because years and years ago, like maybe 5 to 10 years before Deadpool 1, this test footage came out where it was Ryan Reynolds doing the voice of Deadpool in a CGI test scene where it was basically the highway scene in the first movie.
Yeah.
And it's like 5 minutes long, and that just got leaked online, and that caused such an uproar, which is essentially one of the main reasons why they made the Deadpool movie. Because
they saw the feedback and they were like, oh, people want this shit.
Yeah, people were like, oh shit, people actually really want this. And that is a huge thing. And it's even become a running joke for Ryan Reynolds where he sometimes will say like, oh, yeah, who leaked it? So leaks can definitely be necessary sometimes for sure.
That's why I don't think leaks really exist. I don't think when, especially with music, don't get me wrong, out of all of them, I'm sure there are some, but I think a lot of the times artists do that on purpose. You know, like when Kanye West has something leaked, I'm like, you're telling me Kanye West, a person who's been making music forever, right, didn't protect his shit, like you know, whoops, you know,
fucking airplayed it to my neighbors.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah, they're not gonna hire or get the best equipment, unhackable, or like at least safe, you know, because sometimes the best way to not get hacked is to use old equipment. Like, you know, you just record on a cassette tape. Who the fuck's gonna hack that shit? You know, which I think is pretty cool. It's almost a little like I don't know. What's it called? Right? Good talk.
Banana bread.
What do you expect from what's his name? Hugh Jackman? How do you think he's gonna play Wolverine and like the new in the Deadpool one?
I think he's gonna kill it.
Yeah, because Logan was so good, man.
It was.
That was so fucking good.
I have been preparing myself for the reality that like, you know, Deadpool and Wolverine can be mid at best.
I don't think Hugh Jackson's gonna be that funny.
I think he's gonna be pretty funny. Actually.
Really?
Because I think what's gonna work so well, but works in the comics is which also works with like Spider-Man and Deadpool.
Yeah.
Not the same relationship between Spider-Man and Deadpool. I'll retract that. Whatever.
Yeah.
But with Deadpool and Wolverine, what's really funny between the two of them is that Wolverine is such a serious character,
super serious,
and Deadpool is not. So that's where the humor comes in, because it's like that good cop bad cop relationship, where it's just Deadpool is just being annoying, and Wolverine's like, dude, can you shut the fuck up?
What's it called? But Hugh Jackman looks kind of old to be wearing that suit, though. Also, right? Like, you don't think he's like?
I mean, he's still looking pretty good.
Yeah, but he's like kind of like. I'm sure he's not this old, but he looked like he's like 40 something. He wearing that.
40 something. Oh man, 40. Sorry, 40 something.
He's pretty old. He's pretty fucking old. You know what I mean? What the fuck? Like, he looks crazy wearing that, and like his face shows it. I don't know. I mean, I hope the movie's gonna be fucking awesome, and I'm sure it will be. But man, Logan was one of the best movies I think ever when it came to just like superhero movies. I don't want to say it's underrated, because it's definitely not. But when are those kids that were superheroes gonna be something, man? Because that was cool as fuck. Wait, was that X-Men? That was the X-Men kids, though, right? Like those are future kids. Are mutants,
oh yeah. So the main girl is X-23, Laura Kinney. She becomes Wolverine.
I just remember like the little chunky black kid, and I think he used like he was cold hands or some shit like that. That was just cool, man. I was like, hell yeah, bro.
Well, I'll say one last thing, and we'll get back to Peacemaker. But about Logan was that one of my favorite scenes was that really like hooked me with the movie is just the relationship between Logan and Laura.
Oh my god,
23. Yeah, where they're in the car and like she's just like yelling at him in Spanish, and he's just like, "Shut up, shut up, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up." Yeah, like that little interaction. I was like, I love this movie. This is awesome.
She did so fucking good.
Yeah, she was amazing.
She did so like for that. And okay, now interesting enough, not to like go a little more. I wonder if any of that had AI with it. With her, Oh,
I don't think so. Yeah, just because maybe that might have been a little
too early, right? It's definitely CGI, of course.
Yeah,
but like acting wise, I hope she won any award or something like that, because she did incredible, man.
She killed it.
That was insanely good, and that was her debut film, though, or nah?
I think it might have been one of her earliest films.
Got a pimple right here. Yeah.
But so there's gonna be season 2 of Peacemaker, right?
Yeah, and there's actually more. Peacemaker Tries Hard. There's like issue number 2 and 6. I thought this was it. I thought it was just a but like now I was looking at it. I'm pretty sure there's a second one and a third one. I might be wrong, but like even looking at it right now, like I saw those other ones.
Because I had only seen that this one is 6 issues, so I only read the 6 issues.
Oh, I might be wrong then. I might be looking at like just
like
different
issues versus like a volume.
Fuck, god damn it! But this was really fucking good, man.
So this was 6 issues total. But yeah, so that's all it is, 6 issues. Yeah. It's a pretty quick read.
It's super. I read it today, bro. At work, I read it in the span of. I kept going to the bathroom for like 15 minutes, and I was
just. Yeah. It's a very quick read, and like that's not. I feel like when you have a quick read, sometimes that can kind of come off as like, oh, it's super easy to read, but it's like. That's not even a diss at all. No. It's not even a complaint. It's just like Kyle Starks just did such a good job of like making the dialogue just flow. Just like,
you can just go from page. You want to go from page to page because you're like, this is going flowing so well, so funny, so interesting with a good plot. Like it's a good simple plot. It's almost like how we describe Mad Max. Like like that's the core of it all. Like when you got some good shit, like, and you don't really got to be that fully detailed or like heavy, you got Mad Max, you know what I mean? You got that real incredible stuff, but like the base of it is so simplistic. But you fucking executed so amazingly with everything else.
Right.
It's impressive. Like there's a line right here where Peacemaker's walking into the bar and these two guys are talking, and then it just starts off mid conversation. He says, so they says to me, Delmont, you best not stick your hand in there now. And so what did you do? Well, I stuck my hand in it.
It's like, so dumb. It's just like I could hear like you motherfuckers saying that shit at bar 43. And like Anthony like, well, I stuck my hand in there.
And then Peacemaker walks in like, what the hell, bro? And it's just like the writing is so crazy, and even reading it out loud is hard to capture, because you read it in your own tone, but the tone you find the funniest. But when you say, well, I stuck my hand in it, like you know exactly what that is, and it's so fucking impressive, man.
No, I I really enjoyed the writing a lot. Like, it really makes me want to read those Rick and Morty comics now.
Yeah, man.
Because I'm just like, damn.
Because
like,
they must be fucking actually funny.
They must be like, because if he's like one of the longest tenured writers for Rick and Morty, and it's like, considering that Rick and Morty is a pretty big property, and they have had him for this long. He must be pretty fucking funny.
That's what I'm saying, man. And I don't know. It's pretty cool to see comic books that make you laugh. Because for me, I mean, I don't know. I think when it comes to comic book, this is probably the hardest I laughed at one in a while.
Okay.
Sex Criminals, I think, was pretty fucking funny too. They can't go wrong with that one.
I was gonna say, I think that might have been the last comedy comic we looked
right?
at. Yeah,
like where it purely strived off just comedy with like a superhero plot.
Right.
But then I think back to Court of Owls, how good that shit fucking was. Holy fuck, man! But those impact you because that one again it was the first time I turned a comic book to like read it. But then I remember like turning the pages, getting to the page where his face is all fucked, and I was like, like
my Batman. No.
And it's fucking incredible, so
yeah, like you said, even if this plot for Peacemaker, it's pretty simple. It's basically just like John Wick almost.
Pretty much.
It's like when you have something as simple as that, it's like, it's hard to fuck it up.
Yeah.
And so I think what it is that a lot of times other creators will try to spice it up too much.
Yeah.
And
or give their own version of it that just completely ruins it and stuff like that. Nah, but James Gunn pretty much wrote this. But no, Kyle Starks is fucking talented as shit. Yeah. And it makes me want to read more of his stuff. I want to see what else he can do when it comes to these books, especially if the other 3 books were nominated for Eisners. Right. That's insane,
Yeah. And again, Steve Pugh and Jordi Belair are just incredible with the art all throughout.
Not to undermine it.
No, of course, because like the action and stuff throughout the comics is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Like in the sense that it's so exaggerated. Like when motherfuckers like are getting like shot up, they're like,
and then one of the things is fucked. When he uses the fuck beam on it.
And it's stuff like that where it's like harkening back to when I was saying it's very dynamic, his art style, where everything feels so fluid and just like it looks like it's in movement. Nothing looks still. And
I'm looking at it right now and I'm seeing exactly what you're saying.
And it's just things like that, or like again back to the plant scene when he kills that dude and like he snaps his neck. Like it's such an exadrated neck snap.
Yeah.
Like talking about when you were saying like a neck snap in movies is so unrealistic.
That's exactly what I was referring to.
It's exactly that. So it's just it's stuff like that where I'm like, Steve Pugh really killed it with that. And it's just I find that added to the humor of it alongside the writing, where it's just like it's so exaggerative and just so silly. It's
it all
just like
comes down together, melts together.
Yeah,
I don't know. I forget who it was because it was we were doing the anthology when you were featured and stuff like that. Where that one comic where everything flowed so well because it was a comic where everything was in motion.
Right.
Remember? You know what I'm talking about? Do you remember?
I don't remember the title.
It was like but do you know what I'm referring to?
Yes.
All right, so we could put it up so you can see and give the credit to who it's due to. But that shit flowed really well. That might be in all comic books one of the most like clear flowing action sequence in a fucking comic, which is crazy.
Yeah, I can reuse the same fucking things that I did for that episode because I included that in that episode, so I can reuse that.
That was fucking dope, man.
That goes a long way with panel composition as well. Like I was saying, and just in general, Steve Pugh has such a unique style. It kind of took me a minute to sort of get into it personally. Yeah, because like with the muted flat colors of it all, like, that's not what turned me off. It was more so just like the cartoonish look to it. Yeah, because it was almost reminiscent to me of like Frank Miller's art slightly, but like with more bold lining. Okay, and I was a little iffy on that, like in the first some pages, but by the end of the first issue, I was like, okay, you know what? I fucks with this. This is nuts.
It reminds me of the artwork in Dead Presidents with Deadpool, which is another comedy comic we did. Yeah. We did that after Sex Criminals, actually.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, right? That fucking book was hilarious too, man. We didn't cover, I don't think.
Franklin, you hound.
We didn't cover, what was the book that, she's a female writer. I think it was for Spider-Man or she's Asian. Remember, was it Spider-Man or was it something else? Or Deadpool? It's Deadpool, right? That one, she killed that shit too, and that shit was. She was the writer, right?
Yeah, she's the writer.
We didn't never covered it here. We should.
No, we haven't. Yeah.
What was the run called? It was called Deadpool.
I don't know what the run is called, just because I only ever read the first or second. No, I think I read the first 3 issues.
I think so
and
too.
That's when I stopped reading weekly issues and stuff.
But that shit is good.
But it was really funny, and I really enjoyed it. That shit, like. I was like, damn, Alyssa Wong.
Yeah, you got some humor to you. It must suck to like write a comic that's supposed to be funny and it's just like bombing, but like comic version and putting it out and shit like that. And
I'm sure you have editors.
Yeah, man. Yeah, they're like, yo.
Also, then editors can sometimes like
not be funny. Yeah, they throw that shit in the trash, bro. Nah, I don't know.
But I mean, I said it before. Deadpool is definitely like one of my dream characters to write.
That'd be cool.
Like, I really want to write Deadpool one day. I think. I always tell people. I would love if I could annoy people the way I do in real life, but on the page with Deadpool's voice. But the more that I learn about Peacemaker, even in this episode and watching the movies and the TV shows and reading this comic, like Peacemaker's fucking sick.
Yeah, man.
Like he's such
such
a good character. And it's like, I had no idea this comic had come out. Like you, nice. so you got me with that.
I think when I went to Action City Comics, shout out Action City Comics. I think I just picked it up because when I go in there, I don't know what to buy. Like I remember last time I was like, "What the fuck do I buy?" Right? But when I picked that one up, I either picked it up out of complete randomness or the guy who worked there. I think his name, not Eric, the other guy. Sorry, I forgot your name. If you ever listen to this. He had told me, he's like, yo, this is so fucking good, bro. Like, nice. So, like I finished it and I was like, all right, cool, I'll check it out. And 9 times out of 10, they're correct. Yeah. There's another one, I forget what it's called, but the way he described it was saying like, if Animal Farm met Dexter, and it's like, I still haven't read it at home. I'm fucking so lazy. But again, Beatrice read it and she got hooked and she read all like 4 or 5 issues that I have.
Nice.
And she's like, this is so fucking insane, bro.
That's actually how I read Coda. Because it was just completely suggested to me off of a random like thing. Because I remember the first issue came out, I saw it on the shelf, and I was like, "What's this about?" And like one of the guys that works in Midtown Comics was just like, "Oh, it's a new comic from a debut writer artist," and he just kind of gave me like the rundown of it. It's like Lord of the Rings meets Mad Max. I was like, nice.
Yeah, right. I'll be taking a look at this. I like those. I like those pictures. Like Eric Andre posted a picture of himself, like in a woman's body. You know what I mean? Like morphed, whatever. Like looking ugly as shit. And then the comment that's always like, unzips pants.
God damn it! I'm always.
And on that note, that's Peacemaker.
That's Peacemaker.
Oh yeah.
Give a little bit.
Oh yeah, they were talking about the chord. I forgot who shot the scene. I forgot the whole chord and anything. But I'll say this: when I watched the show, I did not like the intro at all.
Oh,
when I saw the do you really want me? And then halfway through the show, I'm like, fuck yeah, I completely get this. I completely understand why this is the intro. You know what I mean? Like, it's so done so fucking well. Everybody just.
It's so silly. It's so ridiculous. Like it is such a tone setter.
Yeah.
Like fuck yeah, Peacemaker.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah.
Fuck yeah, James.
This is one of the funnest.
Fuck yeah, Kyle Starks. Fuck yeah, Steve Pugh. Fuck yeah, Jordy Bell.
Oh, you motherfuckers.
Chris Anka.
Yeah,
let's
man.
go.
Monkey bars. What's it called? This is some of the funniest I've ever had reading a comic book. I may look and sound tired of shit. I am, but it really is fucking incredible.
You almost sound like you're high.
Really?
Yeah.
That's why I'm sleepy, bro. I'm like,
Yo,
bro.
Peacemaker.
This shit was so fucking fun, bro. But check out the socials. The socials, Earth Mind Matter Pod on TikTok and Instagram. Earth Mind Matter on YouTube. Call us.
Don't
call us.
Don't call us.
Yeah.
I mean, you can call Link.
You call Link anytime you want, bro. Link.
That kid is knocked the fuck out. He's hitting us with the. Oh, and we're done.